Good evening, everyone. Once again, we are kicking off time now. You are welcome to Eretmis Cyber Chat. We do this every Friday night at 7 p.m. Eastern. And like I always say, it's Friday night. You could have been anywhere else, but you chose to be here to develop yourself as a security professional and also to join and share your knowledge with our Eretmis community. And we appreciate that. So tonight, we are going to be looking at the role what cybersecurity professionals do, and we are privileged to have three of our own Eretmis members. They are going to walk us through their day as security professionals. Um, they are holding different roles, right? So that is good for us. We are looking at the like what they are doing in their different roles and the similarities between these roles that they are in. So it's going to be very interesting. What we are going to do tonight, we are going to look at the job that they applied for, right? We'll look at the job description, go through and see what was on there. And then we have the privilege of also them telling us exactly what they are doing, right? For us to see the difference. So the gap analysis that I was talking about. So what they were told they were going to be doing and what they're actually doing. So for folks who are looking to, get into the cybersecurity space, if you're applying for jobs, then, you can kind of have a good perception of what is going to go on. So you don't discourage yourself by just looking at the job description. You see that maybe probably one of our panel members, they were supposed to know all these, but even on the job, they are not doing all of that, right? So that is the interesting part of what we are going to be doing tonight. So you are most welcome. We are still in our cybersecurity awareness month. So I encourage everyone to continue to spread the word and to for folks who are well vested in security, spread the word, teach your friends and family about best cybersecurity practices and best cybersecurity hygiene on how they are able to maintain and how to prevent some of these common cyber attacks, social engineering attacks that are out there. So you are welcome once again. This is brought to you by Eretmis Academy. Eretmis Academy is a cybersecurity institute based in New York, and I'm Dr. Emmanuel Ledoux. I'm going to be your only pilot for tonight. I'm a former United States Army captain. I'm a member of Forbes Technology Council, and I'm the founder of Eretmis Academy and the CEO of Eretmis Inc., a cybersecurity consulting firm, a QSA company based out of New York as well. And for Eretmis, we are CompTIA authorized partners. And what that means for everybody on here is that if you want to sit for any of the CompTIA certification exams, you are going to have a 20% discount through us to be able to, save that 20% of any voucher that you want to purchase. So you reach out to us and we'll purchase the voucher on your behalf and you get the 20% discount. Now, for everybody on here as well, if you've been in security for a while, or if you have any cybersecurity certifications, every 3 years you are supposed to renew your certification. You can use continuous educational points instead of sitting for the exams again to renew. So you being here, put in the chat #team live, and if you take a screenshot of that, you'll be able to use that to count towards one continuous educational points. And if you have a lot of these, you'll be able to use that to renew your certification. Different certification bodies will require different number of points. Some will require 50, some 40, or some 20 every year. And I think 60 overall in 3 years. But it depends on what certification that you have, right? So put Team Live in there, and you'll be able to use that for your certification renewal. And we have our Eretmis WhatsApp group. I think we're full, but now we have some space available still. So if you want to join the group, we'll put in the chat and you'll be able to use the link to join our cybersecurity group. This is a very cohesive or a very informational and educative group. It's not your usual WhatsApp group that people are posting a whole lot of things. Everything we post in there is cybersecurity related. And, we have a lot of admins on there who are going to take anything off that is not cybersecurity related. So it's not going to be one of those platforms that is just, you have a bunch of notifications for almost nothing. And then also we have our Eretmis YouTube channel where everything that we do on Friday nights, our cyber chats, they are transmitted on our YouTube channel. So kindly also look that up and subscribe. Our YouTube channel is a whole Cybersecurity University on its own. So you can get a lot of good info on there and some good cybersecurity tutorials on there as well, right? And we have a lot of our cybersecurity professionals coming back to tell us what they are doing on the job and talking about different cybersecurity topics. So you can also learn a lot from them from on our YouTube channel as well. And for tonight, we are looking at a day in the life of a cybersecurity professional, and we will look at it from the perspective of what they were told they were going to be doing and what they are doing now, right? So, but before we do, if you are looking to jump into cybersecurity, switch from any career into cybersecurity, all you need is to at least have high school and be computer literate. We will take you from those two prerequisites and make you a full-blown cybersecurity professional. And our cybersecurity entry-level course is what is going to do that, right? So for our entry-level course, no prior IT or cybersecurity experience is needed. No coding is needed. You don't need a cybersecurity degree or necessarily a degree. And also for the program, you go through training. 4 months, you go through training for the first 2 months. The next 2 months, you do our GRC internship, where you actually get to practice and work on real-world cybersecurity projects, right? And then also we do job placement, where we help you prepare your resume and also do interview prep, one-on-one interview prep sessions with you for every single interview till you land your first cybersecurity role, right? And for our panelists who are coming in, they went through this program, and everything that we are talking about here directly, fits them because they were coming from different fields, and now they are full-on cybersecurity professionals working in the cybersecurity field remotely. And then also, I think for Bettina, she's doing either hybrid or she's doing on-site. But eventually she's going to also jump onto the remote wagon. For folks who are already in the IT space or already in the cybersecurity, and you are looking to specialize in the most lucrative niche in cybersecurity, look no further. Payment security compliance. This is an area of as like a specialty area that is really going to be it is interesting. It is going to give you a run for your money. It is lucrative. We have the biggest pay from our students is coming from this course, right? The biggest that we've had in terms of one job salary, 200 plus is from this course, right? So jump onto the PCI DSS if you've already completed maybe our internship or the entry level, or you're already in the industry. This is the best PCI course out there. I can tell you that on authority. And then also our cybersecurity GRC internship. If you are in the cybersecurity space and you know your foundation is weak in terms of projects you've done, or if you are trying to get into it, you have some certifications, or you took some course, RMF course or some GRC course elsewhere, and you really don't have the practical hands-on experience working on real-world cybersecurity projects, which employers, that is what employers are looking for, right? So you can know all theory and concepts all day, but on the job, you are not going to define or you are not going to recite anything. You are going to actually do. So to be able to put all the missing pieces together, bridging the gap from knowledge and the doing, this is your answer right here. Our cybersecurity internship, GRC internship, where we work on a lot of 10 major projects, 80% of which focuses on GRC and beyond, right? So this will help anybody for any role that you are looking for in cybersecurity. I can tell you on authority, this course is going to be a game changer for you. And our WhatsApp group, I think we spoke about that already. So with that out of the way, we are going to open the floor for our guests to introduce themselves. And then we will start with ladies first. Bettina will go first, and then we will go with Mike, and then Isaac will go after Mike. So if my panel members will do us the honors of introducing themselves.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me, please?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
My name is Bettina Kwati, and I'm an old student of Eretmis Academy, and I'm a cybersecurity manager at Munich Airport, New Jersey. Basically, that's it for today. That's my introduction.
Okay,
Yeah.
Bettina, thank you. Michael, please go ahead.
Yeah, hello. Good morning, everybody. It's Michael. I'm also part of the Eretmis family. I'm currently a GRC analyst, and I've been part of the family for about a little over 2 years. So yeah, I'm glad to be here tonight to share, my experiences so as we can benefit, some of us on the call. So I think that's it for now, Doc.
Okay, thank you, Michael. And then Isaac will go next. I kindly go ahead, Isaac.
Hello, everyone. My name is Isaac, and as the previous guests have mentioned, I'm also an alumni of Eretmis Academy, a little over 2 years, and I I love I love this job. I love this forum. I love this career path, and I can't wait to tell you more about it in the coming few minutes.
All right. Thank you, Isaac. So we are going to jump in straight. So as you can see, today we didn't do our usual cyber news for the week because there's a lot for us to cover, right? So we are just jumping straight into it. So thank you, our panel members, Isaac, Michael, and Bettina. They were with us last 2 weeks to talk about the tools they were using on the job together with Kwame and other security. I think we had 9 or 10 professionals who came on there. We had more than, I think we had almost like 12, but we had to plead with others to put them on hold because of the time. We spent almost 2 hours or 2 hours plus last 2 weeks. So tonight, we want to just have our three panel members and then go through. Maybe some other time we will bring more panel members to do the same thing. So guess who this job description is for? So some moons ago, Bettina saw this on ZipRecruiter and she was like, yeah, I think I can do this. And she applied for it. And then they reached out, sent her an email for an interview. She did her first interview, second interview, third interview, and she landed the job. Now, if this is directly from ZipRecruiter, as you can see, this job is no longer available because Bettina has it. Right. So this is a cybersecurity analyst role. And let's just do a quick overview of this job. That way you have a better picture of what they were looking for. And then we'll jump into and look at, listening to Bettina as to what she's doing now. Right. So this is for who is this job for? Which company? Munich Airport, New Jersey LLC. So, and this is Newark. So Bettina works at Newark Airport. So I don't. This is the name of the company, right? It's Munich Airport. So I'm not sure if it's Munich Airport from Germany, and they are the ones who are running the Newark Airport. I'm not sure about that one, but this is the name of the company, ManJ. So ManJ is a US-based subsidiary. Okay, subsidiary of Munich Airports in Germany, right? Responsible for, so mostly job description, they'll talk about the company and what they do. And like I always tell everybody that when we do job placement assistant one-on-one, I'll ask you, what does the company do? Because if you are going to an interview and you overlook this, then you go to the interview, then you have yourself to blame. Because if they ask you what do you know about a company and you are pulling a blank on that one, that is it, right? They don't care about your technical skills and anything else because you don't care about their company, right? If you care about their company, you know. And like I always use marriage as an example. How would somebody say they love you, they want to marry you, and you ask them, okay, what is my name? You're like, well, John, like, right? I don't think you are going to go ahead with that marriage, right? So when you are analyzing your job description, kindly make sure you're not just jumping straight to what they are going to have you do. Because if you don't know about the company, they are not also interested in what you have to offer, right? So at least take your time, go through research about the company. At least they give you a little overview here. And if you skip this and you don't know anything about them, this also talks a lot more about you, right? If they ask you what do you know about us and you are pulling a blank, it means you don't pay attention to detail. Aside you not caring about the company, you're just chasing the money. You don't care about detail because this is a whole paper that you are going to write, right? Or the whole like academic, look at it as a whole academic paper that you are going to write, right? So you don't want to miss anything or an academic exam you are going to take. So you want to make sure every single detail you take note of. right? So let's jump in. As the company, they've talked about the company, and they come down here to say, as a cybersecurity analyst at this company, your primary responsibility is to ensure the integrity, confidentiality, and availability of the airport's network infrastructure and information systems. And you play a crucial role assisting the IT department in safeguarding sensitive data, preventing cyber attacks, and maintaining a secure and resilient network and corporate enterprise environment. Now, your future responsibilities. Let's take a look at this one. So, this is what is going to give us an idea of what Bettina is doing, right? So, network monitoring and analysis. So, for network monitoring and analysis, you are going to collaborate with a team monitoring network traffic and security alerts for potential threats. So you are going to be collaborating with a SOC team to be doing this. Now, the next one is you are going to conduct analysis of security incidents and respond promptly to mitigate risks. Still working with the SOC team. Oversee the use of intrusion detection and prevention system to identify and thwart malicious activities. So still working with your SOC team to be able to do this. Now you move into incident response, right? Now, before, I just got this from Bettina tonight, but she has sent it to me and we did a job placement on it, but I didn't even remember. So I'm going through this again, like I see this for the first time, right? So kindly bear with me. Now, for incident response, you are going to lead and participate in incident response activities during cybersecurity incidents, coordinate with relevant stakeholders to contain and eradicate security threats, document and report information security incidents, providing comprehensive post-incident report. And then we move into, so these are the major areas: network monitoring and analysis. You are also going to be looking at incident response. We've gone through that. Vulnerability management. So for vulnerability management, you are going to collaborate with system administrators to remediate identified vulnerabilities promptly. And you are going to stay informed about emerging threats and vulnerabilities relevant to airport networks. And we move into firewall and network security. This is one of the very few job descriptions I've seen that they've really broken it down into the different areas that they want you to be working in, things that you're going to be doing, broken it down this way. For firewall and network security, review firewall configuration, review configuration of firewalls and routers and other network security controls or appliances for compliance with company and government directives. So simply for your compliance, any compliance obligations that they have in terms of any frameworks they have to stay in compliance with, implement and enforce security policies and procedures to safeguard network assets. And then we have awareness training. So like everything they are going through is like they just picked it from the internship that we do, right? For security awareness training, develop and deliver cybersecurity training for your company staff, this is the last project that we do during the GRC internship. Raise awareness about cybersecurity best practices and potential threats, provide guidance on security network usage and data handling, and then we move into collaboration and communication. So this is purely soft skills. What we are looking here is purely soft skills. So you are going to collaborate with team, airport authority, external partners, on cybersecurity initiatives, communicate effectively with management and stakeholders on cybersecurity matters, contribute to the development of cybersecurity policies and procedures. And then we move into the last portion, I think, that is compliance and regulations. So for compliance and regulation, first item here is ensure compliance with industry standards, regulations, and airport cybersecurity policies, participate in audits and assessment related to network security, stay informed about changes in cybersecurity regulations and proactively implement necessary adjustments. Okay, so this is what Bettina is supposed to be doing, or this is what they want her to be doing on the job, right? So we've gone through that. Let's just go all the way to the end of this, and then we will give the floor to Bettina and quiz her on some of these. So kindly take notes as we are going through this. I want everybody to be taking notes For any areas that you have questions on, you are going to ask her what she's doing on in these specific areas. Right now, for the education and training, they were looking for CISSP or Cisco Cyber Ops or an associate or equivalent cybersecurity certifications, proven experience in network security, intrusion detections, incident response, strong understanding of network protocols, firewalls, management, VPNs, VPN technologies, familiarity with the aviation industry, security regulations is a plus. So this is a plus. Now your skills and experience. So analytical thinking and problem solving, soft skills, strong attention to detail, and ability to work under pressure, soft skills. So like I was saying earlier, if you are coming to this interview and they ask you what do you know about our company and you pull a blank or you are not sure. So mostly when I do job placement with folks and I ask them what does the company do, they are like, I think they are a shoe manufacturer. No, you don't think. You have to know for a fact. There's no thinking here because guess what? They told you exactly what they do here. So if you say you think, it means you are not sure, and it means what you don't pay attention to detail because it is right here. They just gave you the answer to the questions. The first question they're going to ask you right here, right? So there's nothing like I think or you guys sell shoes or you sell groceries or right. That is not going to go that well. So attention to detail. They are not going to ask you do you pay attention to detail? They are going to infer the answer to this from questions they are asking you, right? So if there is something on the job description and they ask you, and that is the first time you are hearing about it, I mean, the answer is obvious. You don't pay attention to detail. So excellent communication, English, spoken and written, and interpersonal skills, up-to-date knowledge on cybersecurity trends, and so proficiency in security tools and technology, experience working in an airport environment is preferred. So this is preferred but not required. Ability to prioritize tasks, ability to act with integrity, professionalism, and confidentiality, ability to work without direct supervision, taking responsibility and ownership of assigned tasks, ability to work in a team-driven environment. So the skills and experience you're looking for, like you can see, the most technical part of it is staying abreast with security tools and technologies, and then also keeping up to date with cybersecurity trends and threats, right? Everything else is soft skills. So this role, I'm assuming, has more managerial twist to it. And then also for good reasons why you should become part of this family. So they're just selling you on this job, right? Okay. So any questions on this before we bring in Bettina to help us walk us through what she's doing? And we did this for everybody to have the background into what we are going to be discussing, right? I don't think you are going to get this anywhere where you are going to see what the person applied for and then also get the chance to ask them what they are doing and quiz them on some of the things on here. And we are doing this to encourage everybody if you're applying for a job and probably everything that you see on there, you are not going to be doing everything on there. But let's see the contrast. This is what they are looking for. Maybe Bettina is doing everything on here. Maybe not. We have the chance to look at that for Michael, and then also for Isaac. I think we might have the chance to look at what he applied for and what he's doing. Right. So Bettina, I appreciate your time, you being here and subjecting yourself to this. So you can kindly walk us through just some of the things that you do on here before we let you walk us through your day, because all your days are not going to be the same, but they have some similarities, right? So walk us through for everything that is on here, like what do you really, do much often, and which ones do you maybe do once in a while, or you've not even touched on as of now, right? So kindly go ahead. We can start with the networking and monitoring and analysis side, and then we move into the incident response, and then we move into. So if you can briefly tell us what you do in these areas or what you've done so far in these areas.
Okay. Can you hear me, please?
Yes.
Okay, so mainly I would say that so far all the things in the job description, I do like 50% of the stuff in there now. And I mean, I started a few months ago and it's still ongoing. So definitely, I'm pretty sure that a lot of things are going to change and some of the things have really changed already. And in my situation, I was baptized by fire. I started I started on Monday and immediately I started. I did not really have anybody doing any knowledge transfer for me or anything. I was literally like introduced, and just that afternoon I was asked to do a whole lot of stuff. And I remember calling Dr. D that same day to tell him how worried I was and everything, but I'm here now. So yeah, so I do for the networking and monitoring and analysis part, I do almost everything there now. The good thing with my job mainly is that, okay, so for starters, let me say that the job description was for a cybersecurity analyst. But then on going through the interview, I was told that it was more of a managerial role and not an analyst per se, because our company, we outsource some other companies to do other things. So we have the SOC team, we have like incident response and all those people, like we have all the people doing all those things. So I am basically the person, like a quarterback for my company and the other companies that are doing all these things for us. So I need to understand everything that they are doing to be able to question them on some of the things that they are doing and not doing. Then I will report to my CEO and the airports with regards to security and safety. So the third day I started on Monday, and I remember on Thursday we my boss got hit. He had a phishing. We his email was hacked. Basically, he clicked on some link, and immediately I entered the office around 8 a.m. I was told that this is what has happened, and we had to we need to set up like the whole incident response team to look at what is happening and everything. And I mean, I was a little bit worried, but I mean, hey, you've had the training. I know what I was supposed to do and everything. So then they were asking like, what do they have to do about what is happening with like with his email? Should they like change his password, whatever? And then I gave all the instructions that had to be done. And then the incident response to had already started with everything, and we sorted the issue out right that day. So yes, so for network and monitoring and analysis, I basically do almost everything there, because it includes like the incident response, vulnerability, scanning and all those things. So I make sure that all the people do the SOC team reports to me every week, and every day they give me the reports of all the things that has happened. They send me reports, and I also have my briefings every Tuesday morning for them to tell me what they are seeing and everything, and I also have access to everything that they are doing. So I also monitor things, and if I don't understand anything or something is I mean catches my eye, then I contact them to find out what is actually happening on there. So the system and everything is pretty much good, because it's I'm also able to monitor and see what is happening, that everything that you're doing. And once there's an incident, I mean, knock on wood, we've had just that incident ever since I joined that company. And any other thing that we feel like will cause any issue, we try to work at it as soon as possible. So after we had that incident on that week, we did the post-incident briefings, and then I gave like recommendations as to moving forward, what has to be done. And then I went back into the policy for incident response to put together like the lessons learned and everything. I went back to the policy that was drafted before I was there to make the changes and everything. So for that is what I do. And for security awareness and training, before I went there, my predecessor had done a first training for them. So what I did after the incident with the phishing, I had a meeting with because this was it affected the CEO. So I had a meeting with them, and then I wanted to find out if they had any issues with regards to like anytime they have such informations on their phones or on their emails, are they like, do they see it, or do they does it what drew his attention to the fact that this could be a phishing even after he had clicked on the link and everything. And then I wanted to know what education they had, because it was just the first week. So after they told me what they knew, I gave them an overview of how they should look out for such emails and all those things. So I gave them, it was just the CEOs that I've done that with them, but I haven't actually done a whole security awareness training for the whole company. Is in the pipeline. I mean, I started a few months ago, so I'm now doing like the initial assessment, and I'm doing the gap analysis with regards to that, plus also managing the SOC team and all those people. So almost, I would say that 50% of the things in the job description, I have started doing it, and then moving forward, I'm going to do all the stuff in here. But then there are also other things that, because with an aviation company, basically, we have the IT and the OT part, and I also have to make sure that like implementing segmentations and network isolations is also something that was not part of the job description, but I'm also doing that as well. So I would say that is what I'm basically doing now. I don't know if that explains the question. Yeah.
Thank you. So if I get you, like I got you right, starting off, you said your company outsource, let's say the SOC duties to a third party company that is doing SOC for you. They also outsource
Correct.
incident response. So what you're doing is you're overseeing what the third party is doing. Right.
Exactly.
So they are reporting to you, and then you will look at it and make sure everything is good, and then you report to your management. And then same thing
Yes.
for incident response. For vulnerability management, like is it same? Are they outsourcing that also as well?
Yeah, so that we have two huge main companies that does all these things for us, basically.
Okay.
So apart from the fact that I'm managing those people, I'm also so how do I put it? Okay, so I'm managing the outsourced company to make sure that everything they are doing is okay. And then I'm also the security person for my company, MANJ itself, the employees, my colleagues in the office as well.
Okay.
Because they also need to go through certain trainings to make sure that we don't have any issues. Because once there's that, for there to be any incident or whatever, it will come from the company that I am with now. So I train them as well. So that they cannot cause any issues for us for it to even get to the third parties. I don't know if you understand what I'm talking about. So I have two responsibilities: managing the people and also managing my company itself.
Okay, got you. And what about I mean, for collaboration and communication, you are doing that on daily basis.
Yes, I do that every day.
Okay, for compliance, like what are some of the compliance frameworks that your company has to, that they are mandated to stay in compliance with, or they try to stay in compliance with just for best security?
So for compliance, we FAA, TSA, I mean, we are under Port Authority. So we need to make sure that we are complying to all the TSA regulations and FAA, and also and NIST as well. So mainly these are the main regulations that we need to comply by. Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. And maybe, so, I mean, I'll have other people, at least 3 or 4 people ask their questions on this one. But now getting back to our main topic, you've really taken us through, at least we have a very good idea of what you do. Now, if you can walk us through a typical day on the job, with the exception of days that you just have to, before you even get to the office, you're putting out fires, like a typical normal day, how is it like from you entering the office? What do you do first? What do you do next? And, if you can walk us through like typical Monday or typical Tuesday.
Okay, so I will just use a typical Tuesday because Tuesdays are my most busiest days of the week. So like I do my morning briefings and I check any threat intelligence reviews that is there. So I start each day by reviewing the latest threat intelligence reports, focusing on any industrial specific vulnerabilities or new cyber threats, basically. And this really helps me to ensure that I'm aware of any emerging threats and can take preemptive steps if necessary. So after doing that, at 10 a.m. every Tuesday, I have a meeting I set up with the team, outsource team, companies, and my IT director, myself, and the IT team basically. So I set up that meeting, and then if there's any things that they are doing that we need to look at, then everybody would tell me what is happening, the issues that they're having, how things are going, if there are any vulnerabilities that week or the weekend and that I wasn't aware of. They tell me about it and they send reports, and then I look at them and we give recommendations. So if there are any issues with regards to our systems or anything, we discuss everything. Yeah, and then we talk about the things that has to be done that week, and basically everybody goes back to whatever it is that they're doing. So after that, at the airport we have like a war room where the SOC team and all those people are. So after I do that meeting and I respond to all my emails, I mean, I get in a day, I could get like more than 20 emails. So I go through all those emails to look at the ones that needs like attention as soon as possible. And then I try to reply all those emails. And then I go down to, I mean, it's a huge airport. We manage the whole of Terminal A. So I go downstairs to the war room to check on whatever it is that they are doing. I mean, I just don't leave them to do they know what they're doing basically, but since I'm managing them, I have to go there often to find out how they are going about things and if there are any issues. And because sometimes it might not be part of the meeting's agenda on Tuesdays, but then when I go there and they see me, it's much more comfortable talking about certain issues that did not even they didn't even avert their minds to during the meeting time. So I go there and then we talk about any issues that are there and if there are any risk assessments and vulnerability management that is going on that I need to be aware of. They talk to me about it. I come back to my office and then I check I check if we have any projects that is going on. I check on the projects as well, and then I go to the OT part to also see what is happening in there and to find out, because sometimes they're like I also say, I mean, these people are like people that they really know what they're doing exactly also. But then you also need to be there to find out if there are any issues and certain things that once that draws your attention to it. Because mind you, some of them are just doing their work, but they don't know the security part of these things. So when I go there and I see the things they're doing and I ask questions, then I know that okay, this is an issue that we need to avert our minds. Sometimes just 2 days ago, I found out that they had some, I mean, a system that is a legacy system, and the people dealing with it didn't even have any idea about it. So through conversations, I was able to know that okay, this is a system that hasn't even been patched for a while. So immediately I called for a meeting for us to have that issue sorted out, because we don't want anything happening before, I mean, we decide to take care of it. I want us to take care of it as soon as possible. So yeah, so these are some of the things that I do on the daily basis. And afterwards, I come back to my office, try to get some lunch, and then look through if I have any emails or anything. If not, then I just go back home. So basically, that's what I do during the day.
Thank you, Bettina. I think Sai has a question, and we'll take 3 questions, and we'll move on to Mike.
Okay.
So, Sai,
Okay.
please go ahead.
Hi, it's Shay. Sorry.
Hey, okay. Thank you.
Okay. Just a quick one. Do you have I know you're a lawyer, but do you have project management experience? Because I can see a lot of project management in this, and whether that would be an advantage.
Shockingly,
if you don't have it?
Shockingly is a big no. I don't have
Okay.
I did not have any project management
It's
experience.
kind of, I see a lot of
But
project
like
management going on. I'm like, if you don't have it, is it gonna be a disadvantage?
I know.
Yeah.
That is why I was telling you. I mean, I've spoken to you before,
Yeah.
and like I tell you, sometimes what you see in the job description is not what you're going to do. So if you put it in your mind that, hey, maybe I'm just learning vendor risk to go and apply for a job. Listen, when you get into the job, so far as you are known as a cybersecurity analyst or a cybersecurity manager, every question, every issue with regards to security comes to you.
Okay.
And you even do extra to the things that you're not expecting. Sometimes some of the things that I've started doing, sometimes it's after I have done it and I come back and I'm like, but this is not even cybersecurity issues. Like all these things, because now I'm basically, because one, I thought I was applying for a cybersecurity analyst role. I thought I was going to join some IT team to be doing something specific, and that'll be the only thing that I was doing. But I entered into the job and I noticed that it's a whole managerial role. So you have to know everything, not know 100%, but then know certain, you cannot say you don't know certain things. I mean, there cannot be an incident response, and as a cybersecurity manager, you don't know the kind of questions to ask. It's a no-no. So there are certain things that you must know. You must have that foundation to be able to even build on it, to ask certain questions, because there are some questions that it's you need to be able to ask the right questions. Let me put it that way, to get the right answers. And believe you me, I am managing people who are already like 15 years, 20 years into the industry. And for me to be able to manage these people, it means that I really took my internship seriously. And I always say this. And I mean, during my time during the internship, my group members was like, I was always giving them a hard time. And as if I kind of had an idea. I always said maybe Dr. Du had a vision that I was going to get this job, because he put me as a group leader. And I remember when I saw the list when it came out, when we were going to do the internship, that I was a group leader. I was like, hey, this internship that I'm going to do to understand something, I've been put in as a group leader. How am I going to lead people that I don't even know what I'm going to do? But hey, it really helped me a lot, because now I'm actually managing grown-ups who have been into this business for more than 20 years. And if I'm able to manage these people and things are moving smoothly, it means that I really took my studies and my hands-on experience internship really seriously, because it really gives me the foundation to do what I'm doing now, like going through the policies and even understanding the policies to know the changes that needs to be done in the policies was all done through the internship that I did. And finding out the gap analysis and trying to resolve the issues there now is something that if I had not taken certain things seriously, I would really, I don't think I'll be happy in this job, because everything comes to me and it's just like that. I just enter the office and I go, let's say I go to the war room. Hey, Bettina, can you help me with this? What do you think about this? Like, everybody is coming to you because, I mean, you are managing them. So they're expecting you to have answers to certain things. So even if I don't have every answer, I try to let them talk more about the issue, because, hey, I'm also a new person on the job. So the more that they are telling me about the issue on it, I try to understand where they're coming from. And with the knowledge that I know, we go about the conversation. And before you know it, the issue is resolved. So it's been, I wouldn't say it's easy, but then I've managed to stay on this job and I'm learning more as it goes, because I took my studies really serious when it came to this stuff.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Any more questions for Bettina? Kindly raise your virtual hand if you have a question. And if not, then we are going to jump into Michael's daily activities. All right, Bettina, we appreciate you. So just hang on for us. We're going to give the floor to Michael, and then we will come back to you before we wrap up. All right. So
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Bettina. So for Michael's, we have it in a Word document. So I will share this real quick, and then we will give a quick intro to that, and then we will give Michael the floor. So for Michael's, Michael, this is a GRC specialist role, right?
That is correct. Yeah.
Yes. So we have only the job description for what Michael is going to do. So where they say this is what you are going to be doing, or this is what you will do. First one, developing and maintaining and communicating information security policies and standards, ensuring that they meet business objectives and contractual and regulatory obligations, right? And then the next one, we are looking at assessing and prioritizing information security risks across the organization. Next one, facilitating external audit activities. So you're going to be working with, auditors coming in. You are the POC for your company. The next one, tracking and reporting on remediation efforts and escalating as needed. So any gaps or any vulnerabilities identified during your audits, you are going to be the one leading the remediation efforts, preparing and presenting security metrics to senior leadership, advising them on compliance and risk management strategies, crosswalk controls across multiple security frameworks to select controls that appropriately govern the protection of corporate information systems and networks and data, right? So I think you are going to be part of a team selecting the appropriate security framework for the company and alter and publish adopted technology, technical and administrative and physical controls. So these are the three typical types of controls that we have in policies and standards and drive lifecycle management of documentation. So next one is act as the subject matter expert on the company's information security policies and leading security frameworks for the company. So ISO 27701 and 2, NIST 853, and NINA 75502. And next one is to develop workforce security training and awareness material, social maybe I'm not getting that right. Socializing best practices. Okay. Design and execute simulated phishing campaigns, analyzing and reporting on user behavior with recommendations on ways to reduce social engineering risks. Next one is develop, collect, monitor, and analyze information security and compliance metrics for management to evaluate information security program effectiveness. Next one is to act as the focal point of communication from internal users and providing approved security documentation and description of the corporate information security program and controls to respond to client inquiries. Next one is to manage on-spring GRC management tool and content that include policies, audits, findings, and then also including administering access and developing user interface and output. So that is a handful. So Michael, this is what we went through. And then also I want everybody to keep note of this. If you have any questions, kindly jot them down. Michael, if you can walk us through every item that we've listed here, is this everything that you're doing, or you are doing something more than this, or you have not even done some of these so far? If you can walk us through.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So everything you see on there, I actually do, right? So generally, and I think when I first, met Dr. Edwin, started talking to Dr. Edwin, we started reviewing some job descriptions. I quite remember you said sometimes, you end up doing maybe 60 or 70% of what the job description says, right? But in this case, everything you see listed on here, I basically do and manage, right? So starting with the first point, which is developing, maintaining, and communicating information security policies and standards, ensuring that they meet business objectives and contractual and regulatory obligations. So basically, my role as a GRC analyst is actually help the company, number one, develop, right? If we don't have policies in place, develop those policies, make sure we put them in place, maintain those policies, and also ensure that those policies are updated, right? So for us, that policy, our policies and standards have to be updated on an annual basis, right? So all policies and standards don't have to go past 1 year. So within that 1 year, they have to be updated. So, but my role basically is number one, since I don't own all the policies, right? So for cybersecurity policies, GRC does own some of the policies, and for some we don't, right? So example, encryption standard, right? Those are owned by our cybersecurity engineers, but my role is to work with those engineers to ensure that those policies are actually updated right on in a timely manner, and then make sure those policies are posted on our, what we call our SharePoint page, right? And for most people who work in the industry, they probably know what SharePoint is, right? It's kind of a repository where you can upload documentation and make it available to all employees, right? So developing, maintaining. So I develop the policies, right? So basically, that's when I actually reach out to whoever owns that policy and then work with the person to either create that policy or to update that policy. Maintaining, so making sure that policy is actually in place, right? So making sure those policies are updated on an annual basis, and then communicating those policies to to all employees and users, right? So that's when I basically, after we've reviewed the policy, updated the policy, and received all approvals, right? And that's one thing, one key thing, right? Every policy in the company has to be approved as well, right? So even though the engineers own the encryption standard, that encryption standard has to go through our cybersecurity management, right? So that means our director of information security actually has to approve that policy. So once I receive the approval from the director of information security, then I publish that policy on our SharePoint page to make it available to all employees. So yeah, so for the first point, basically that's what I do in terms of my job description. And for the second one, I think it says assessing and prioritizing information security across the organization, right? So this one, it's not specific, it's a little broad, and basically all my job functions contribute into making this job description basically happen, right? So how do I assess and prioritize, right? So number one, developing policies and making sure that those policies are being maintained and making those policies available, right, to employees, basically contribute in ensuring that the company is actually in compliance, right? So I'm working in assessing and as well as prioritizing all security risk, right? And as we know, and when it comes to cybersecurity, everything starts with policies, right? Without policies, we can move on. So first, making sure we have that policy in place. Second, making sure that that policy has been approved. And third, making sure that everybody in the company has availability to that policies, right? And as well as, and also when it comes to the second bullet, right? Where it talks about prioritizing information security risks across the organization, right? So one thing that comes to mind is the risk register. So I actually manage our risk register as well, right? Which we manage through our GRC tool. So that's where we actually, let me say, it also works as a repository where we keep all records of all the risks that we have within the company. So it might be a risk associated to an IT control, or it might be a risk associated to people in the company, right? How people actually manage or react to the IT environment. So let me see the third bullet. So the third bullet says facilitate external audit activities, right? So as Dr. said earlier, while he was reading, I'm the POC, so the point of contact when it comes to audit, right? So for our company, we actually build softwares, so we have to stay in compliance with SOC 2. So I'm actually the person number one. So for like in terms of audits, for external, okay, so let me actually talk about the external audit, right? So for external audits, I'm actually the person who has to work with the external auditor. So we work with the external auditor to come up with maybe a schedule of when the audit is going to occur, right? So for SOC 2 audits, we do that audit yearly, right? So every year we have to go through SOC 2. So for SOC 2, for us, we have different type of SOC 2s that we go through, right? So since we build different softwares, some of those softwares have to be in compliance with SOC 2, right? So like two of our softwares have to independently comply with SOC 2. And then also our company, which we what we call controls, right? So basically our corporate IT controls also have to be in compliance with SOC 2 as well, right? So basically, even though it's SOC 2, like what I'm trying to say is that I'm actually manage three independent SOC 2 audits, right? So one for the IT controls, and then one for each of the two softwares that have to stay in compliance with SOC 2. And with that, basically, so my role is basically, okay, number one, so normally our schedule like a meeting, right? A call with the external auditor, and then I work with the external auditor. We review the scope, right? So we review the scope, basically what is the external auditor going to be looking at? So we review the scope, we review and agree upon the scope, right? So once we agree upon, we pick a date where during the year where that audit is going to occur, and then once that has like it's more than like it's more work in the background than what I'm like the way I'm saying it. I'm making it look probably making it look too easy, but there's a lot of work that's done in the background. But I'm just trying to simplify it so that we can move on. So number one, meet with the external auditor, work with the external auditor to basically agree on the scoping of what the audit is going to cover, and then agree on the schedule for the audit, right? So then once that has been determined, I come back and then reach out to my various teams, right? So with SOC 2, the external auditor has to interview different areas within the company, right? So then it's my role to work with those different areas. So it might be networking, right? Network engineering team. It might be the product team. It might be HR, right? So it's my role to work with those different departments or those different teams to make sure that we can get a schedule that works for everybody. So basically, trying to be working and being like the right word would be liaison or being the facilitator, right? And then once we've agreed upon the scope, the audit schedule, and then the audit actually happens, right? My role is actually to sit with them, so during the audit. So example, let me just pick an example, right? So let's say SOC 2, we have an audit today and we have to interview HR. So my role is actually sitting in the interview whilst the auditor is auditing HR, reviewing the questions and making sure that the auditor doesn't go out of scope, right? So basically, whatever we've agreed upon with the auditor, he has to stay within those lines, right? So my role is just making sure that whatever answer the auditee is providing to the auditor actually makes sense and follows that scope, right? So and whenever the auditor tries to go out of scope, right? Example, if you're interviewing somebody from HR, right? There is no way you have to bring up networking, right? Any IT control or any IT control that pertains to networking, right? That's HR. So with HR, maybe you can talk about background check, right? So, but if whatever you are discussing with HR has nothing to do with that job description or has nothing to do with the person that's been interviewed, that's where I come in and tell the auditor, hey, like of course, definitely right, you say it in a nice way, but you're letting the auditor know that I know like this question is actually more appropriate for this team, but not for this team that you are currently talking to, right? So we can write a question down, and then once we have the right team in front of you, you can go ahead and ask them the question, right? So basically, it's kind of we are babysitting, right? So you are babysitting both the auditor and then your internal team as well. So because number one, auditors like talking, like they talk a lot, right? So they can talk and then they can start asking things that actually doesn't pertain to whoever they are interviewing to. And sometimes your internal people, they talk a lot, right? So like for audit, number one, you always make sure you answer the question that you are being asked. Don't add anything and don't add more and don't take anything, from the answer. If they ask you a question, just answer the question and then move on. But you have situations where people are being audited and then they just love to talk and then they'll be giving more than what the auditor actually asks. And that's why I come in and be like, hey, like, no, hey, like Mr. Mike, please let's stay to the course and let not us, deviate from the scope of the audit. Yeah, and I think I've spent quite a lot of time on audit. So let me go to the next bullet. So the next bullet says tracking and reporting on remediation efforts escalating as needed as well. Okay, so with that, so one thing that comes in mind will be vulnerability management, right? So basically, so we use Qualys to run our scans, and our scans are generally run on the weekends. So and then on Tuesdays, myself, the cyber operations teams, and then the infrastructure team, we meet to review the reports, right? So depending on what the report is, sometimes some of the system can be patched, right? So basically, let's say for policy, anything that can be patched within 30 days has to have an exception, right? So that's where I think these bullets will come in, right? So my role is basically ensuring that anything that can be patched is being recorded and there is an exception. So basically, I'll have to get approval from whoever is the system owner. So the system owner has to approve, the system owner's boss has to approve, my boss has to approve, and then the CISO has to approve as well, right? And then you have to submit a plan on the remediation for that system, right? Okay, you say we cannot patch it in 30 days. Okay, so what are the competency controls that we have in place, right? So you're going to send me those, and then I'm going to capture everything in our GRC tool, and then you are going to give me a remediation date, right? Okay, you can tell me, hey, like Mike, in 2 weeks, right? I'm going to be able to provide, like, okay, you're going to be able to patch it, or in 3 weeks, you're going to be able to patch it. So whatever time frame you provide me, once that time frame hits, I'm going to come back and check to you. And also, since you will use GRC tool, like most of these things are automated, right? So it's not like I have to remind myself that, hey, I have to like go check on it. No, like the tool is actually going to send me notification to let me know like this, remediation is due, right? The due date is approaching. So then that's when I'm going to reach out to the system owner to find out, hey, like what's the updates or what's going on with this, servers or, these systems. Are we going to be able to patch them? And then if the answer is no, then I can go back and then we can, put an extension for that exception. So the extension will also have to go through the approval process one more time, and then and let's say everybody approves, but then it gets to the CISO and the CISO says no, right? So if the CISO says no, then it's a no. So like everything even though we have approvers, like different steps of approval, the CISO is the person who have the final say, right? So like everybody can approve, but if the CISO say no, then no it is. Let me move on to the next. Okay, so the next bullet says preparing and presenting security metrics to senior leadership on advising compliance and risk management strategies. So yeah, so we do have what we call cyber dashboard. So basically, I don't actually report it, but I prepare the cyber dashboard. So and then my manager actually, so like every first week of the month, they have an executive meeting, which I'm not part of, but my manager is. So I prefer prepare the report. So basically, what is in this report, right? So like every vulnerabilities is going to be like, so the vulnerabilities, how what are we doing in terms of remediation, right? So phishing exercises, right? People who are phishing exercises, are they taking their training, like, right? Training awareness. Are people actually meeting the requirements? Are we staying in compliance with employees taking it? So like any metrics you can think of, right? So I compile all these metrics, so incidents as well. How many incidents did we have, right? And what's the resolution for those incidents? So I compile all this, and it's a kind of a spreadsheet, right? So then I put in the spreadsheet and then and then I have normally before my manager will present it to the executive team, I'll meet with my manager and then we'll review the data. And then once we review, then it's okay. We'll meet with the CISO and then we'll review it with the CISO as well. And then once everything is, okay and finalized, then that's when my manager will go and present it to the executive team. Yeah. Okay, let me see. So the next one says crosswalk controls across multiple frameworks to select controls that appropriately govern the protection of corporate information systems, network, and data. Okay, so basically cross-working controls across multiple frameworks. So for us, so our company policies, right, and all our policies in terms of when it comes to cybersecurity, we align our policies to ISO 27001 as is listed on the job description as well as NIST 853, right? So basically, whatever IT control we have in place, we make sure that they comply with both the requirements from NIST and then the requirement from ISO 27001. And then, funny enough, even if you have an IT control that complies with both NIST and ISO 27001, it's more likely that it complies with PCI, right? With all the other, best practices frameworks out there, right? So, because then you pick one framework, one control, you find one framework, one good control, you can find it on multiple frameworks. And evidence you use from one framework, you can use it for another framework in most cases as well, right? So let me see the next one. Okay, so alter and publish adopted technical, administrative, and physical controls and policies, standards, and drive life cycle management of the documentation. Yeah. So I think this one comes to the document the first line as well, right? It points back to documentation, right? Basically, so my role is managing the documentation, so the documentation life cycle. So let's say we update a document this month, right? The document, so we're in October. The next update is going to be next year, October. So once we update it, so I work with whoever the document owner is. And sometimes, like GRC, there are some documents that we own, right? So example, third-party risk management documents, I own it, right? So if it's up for renewal, I'm the person who's actually going to do the updates and then make sure it goes through the approval process and then get the approval from management as well, right? And then once I get approval from management, that's where I make it available. So I publish it and make it available for all employees to to have visibility into. Okay, let me see which one am I on now? Okay. Okay, so act as subject matter expert on companies' information security policies and leading security frameworks. Yeah, so basically, as I said, right, all our security policies align with ISO 27001 and its 800 special publication 853. So yeah, so definitely whatever company you work for, and generally companies pick maybe one or two frameworks to comply with. So whatever company you end up working for, just make sure that whatever framework that they are currently complying with, you make sure you understand that framework and and then make sure at least you know the basis and the fundamentals of those frameworks so you'll be able to, to speak to those frameworks as well. So the next one says develop workforce security training awareness material and socializing best practices. So yeah, so I'm also in charge of, ensuring that the content for our training awareness material is always updated. So generally, and one good thing I would say is that generally when you join a company, you don't have to like, create everything from scratch. So like when I joined, like they already had their materials, right? So my role is just to review those materials and just make sure that the content of that material is still applicable, right? Because sometimes we know how fast, technology is changing, right? So you just want to make sure that whatever content is in, so sometimes you might review it, everything looks fine. All you have to do is just change the date and then the version, and then you can republish it, right? It's not necessarily that whenever you review a document, you always have to make big changes. Sometimes it might just be a small change because, I mean, there's not really been no major changes from one year to the other, right? So when it comes to training awareness materials or our training, right? So make sure our training have sections like, so generally our training have sections like talks about access control, definitely, right? Password, right? Like how employees who actually interact with phishing emails. So generally you want to make sure like the best practices when it comes to cybersecurity are actually, incorporated within your training awareness material. So my role is to update that training awareness material. So I update it and then review it with my manager. And once my manager, is okay with my updates, then I reach out to HR. So we use this tool called Reliance Learning. So basically, once we are okay with the content and my manager approves, then I'll reach out to HR and then forward it to HR. And then HR is actually the team that actually will send it out to all employees. Okay, so design and execute simulated phishing campaigns, analyzing and reporting on user behavior recommendations on ways to reduce social engineering risk. So definitely, I'm also in charge of phishing. So we run our phishing campaigns once every quarterly, right? So, and once every quarterly and as needed, right? Sometimes we run it and then maybe the results are not really, very, they're not actually what was expected. So then my CISO can, ask me maybe, hey, even though we do it every 3 months, I want you to run another one maybe next month, right? So even though it's once every quarterly, it can be as needed as well. And with phishing, right, we use a tool called Proofpoint. So basically, Proofpoint is, and a lot of things are also within Proofpoint, right? Is automated. So basically, I set up the phishing, I send it out, and then it automatically generates a report of who has failed, and then anybody who fails automatically gets assigned training, and then we track and make sure that you take that training, right? And then the metrics for the phishing also goes into that cyber dashboard that I actually referenced earlier. That goes to the executive team as well during that first monthly executive meeting. Okay, I'm trying to go through fast so I don't take too much time. Okay, what's the next? So the next one says develop, collect, monitor and analyze information security compliance metrics of management to evaluate information security programs. So yeah, so that goes back to everything I do, right? So like everything I do in terms of policies, phishing, vulnerability management, they're always metrics, right? They're always metrics. So for policies, we know how many policies, have been updated. We know what is due. All you have to do is just go into your Gen GRC tool or your on-spring tool and it's gonna pull it up for you, right? So everything is, we have metrics. So whenever management comes and say, hey, we want to see metrics for this or that, we always can go into the tool and then pull it up and then share with management. Okay, let me see. Acts as focal points for communications for internal users. So yeah, so this one is very interesting. So acts focal point for communications for internal users. So basically, I'm also in charge for drafting. So like example, this is Cyber Month, right? So we've been like sending out communications on different cybersecurity issues, right? So maybe we might do take different areas of social engineering, right? We might do smashing, right? We might do phishing. So basically, and I just actually last week sent out one. So we had a situation where some of our users were getting unauthorized MFA requests, right? And then my manager quickly reached out to me and was like, Mike, we need to draft a communication to send out to all employees to let them know, hey, if you receive any MFA request that you didn't authorize, automatically delete it, right? Delete it and don't engage. So I had to draft the communication, and also with communication, once you can just draft the communication and send it, company wide. You draft the communication, there's a process in place, right? So number one, my manager has to review and then review it, and if he's okay with it, from there we have a communication team, right? So it has to go to the communication team. They have to vet it, they review it, vet it, and then they have to approve it, right? And then once they approve it, they are going to send it out. So that's it for that one. Okay, so the next one says manage the on-sprint GRC management tool. So yeah, so basically GRC tool, everything I said, like 90% of what I said is managed within the GRC tool, right? So for policies, most of the work is done on Word, right? Editing, writing, but then the approval process is done through either Zen GRC or on-sprint, right? And then for vulnerability management, same thing, everything is managed through the GRC tool. When it comes to audit as well, right? So if there's an audit and there's an audit finding, everything is entered and tracked within the GRC tool. Same for any cybersecurity incident. Any incident has to be documented, right, and tracked till resolution. So everything I mentioned earlier prior to the last point is managed, within the GRC tool. And I apologize for taking too much, but it was quite a long job description, and everything you see on there, I basically do each and every point, right? And I could speak like hours about all this, but I was just trying to keep it brief, and it looks like I failed at that. But yeah, Dr. Du, I think that's it for my job description. And if anybody has any questions, I'm here.
All right, Mike. Thanks. So now if you can walk us through a typical Monday or Tuesday, just, so for you, you are doing remote. Bettina is doing on-site. So for us, a remote job, like when you wake up, or what time do you start work and what do you do? If you can walk us through a typical day, maybe Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or any of the days.
Yeah. I'll actually walk you through today, because generally my Fridays are not that busy, but today was, a little crazy busy. Yeah, so generally I get to my computer at 9 p.m. and then 9 p.m. I basically, so sometimes, I have to catch up on a little things, or I have to prepare for some few things, because generally we have some meetings that is mass meetings, right? So sometimes I have to prepare some few things for that meetings. So generally get on my computer at 9, and then my first meeting doesn't start till 10:45, right? So 10:45 is a 15 hours, 15 minutes meeting where we just review any changes within the company. So, and for some people who work in the industry, so we call it a CAB meeting, where we just review any changes, right? And like upcoming changes. So if there's a change that you want to submit, right? And that's where change management comes in. So if there's a change that you want to submit, you can submit it to that meeting, and then the facilitator of that meeting is actually going to take note, and then make sure that we queue that change for the upcoming, depending on what schedule you provide. And then 11 a.m. I do have another meeting which we call the stand up. So for us, it's like our big stand up where all the IT, like the areas within IT show up, right? So we show up and then we update on some of the projects that we are working on. So example, during that meeting, so like for information security, we can, if there's like an ongoing audit, we can bring up the audit, and then, just give a brief, not brief summary, but like a timeline on when we think that audit is going to be completed. So basically, what our meeting does is that it kind of gives an awareness of what the various teams are doing, right? So every teams, so they're going to call like infosec, any updates, and then you tell and explain what you are currently working on, right? Network engineering, like what are you working on? Infrastructure, right? Architecture. So that way, it kind of gives an idea about what the various teams in IT are doing, right? And then I do have like the information security standard, which is the standard for the information security team. So that's the meeting where I was referencing earlier about maybe preparing. Maybe I have something from my manager. That's why I bring it up, right? So it's a 30 minutes meeting at 11:30 where we basically, like, it's an open meeting, right? So within the information security team, if anybody's facing any issues, if you need any help. So example, right? Let's say I'm working on an audit and I need maybe some screenshots, from my engineers, right? That's what I'm gonna bring it up. So that we have cybersecurity engineers on the team. That's why I'm gonna engage them and maybe let them know, hey, like, can I put some time on your calendar for us to, get this, screenshot for this vendor or for this, audit firm. So yeah, stuff like that. And then sometimes our manager might have some assignments for us, even though we do have our ongoing projects. There might be something that we have to prioritize. That's when our manager is gonna, let us know, hey, like, whatever you are doing, drop it. We have to focus on this or that, right? So so that was 11:30 to 12:30, and then from 12 to 1, I actually had a call with the vendor. So we had a call with the vendor. So proof point, we went over a couple of things. That was for 1 hour. And then after that, I met from 1 to 1:30 with my manager. We are to submit a purchase order. So we are trying to implement not a different, but like a new tool. So my manager was actually working me through the purchase order process, just as awareness, even though it's something that he's going to be doing. He does, he always does, but he just wanted me to know. And then my last big meeting was the meeting for RFP, right? And then that actually is a big one. And I think it was even in the job description, but I didn't actually. So basically, with RFP, so request for proposal, right? So like whenever your company is trying to win business from another company, right? So basically, like we sell softwares, right? So whenever we are trying to win a business from another company, we actually submit what we call the request for proposal. So the other company have like cybersecurity requirements or IT control requirements that we have to meet, right? So it's my role to review that RFP document and make sure that every IT control that's listed as a requirement from the other vendor, like it's something that we can, not vendor, but the client, right, the customer, it's something that we can meet, right? So, and whatever we can meet, I have to work with the RFP team and basically just strike it out and let them know, hey, like this requirement, there's no way we can meet it, so we have to strike it out. So that was my last meeting. So today it was quite busy, but like Dr. Lu said, like days, vary from day to day. So some days you are more busy, some days you are less busy, but just what I want to leave you guys with is that number one, you have like your team meetings, that those ones you can skip, you have to attend, right? And then you might have meetings with different departments within your company or with vendors, right? And then you might have your also quiet time as well. And quiet time, what I mean is you don't have any meetings, but then you have to be working on your project as well, right? So, and everything is doable. It depends on how you manage your time, right? Like it's hectic if you don't manage your time appropriately. So it all depends on how you are able to basically manage your time and make sure things work for yourself. So hopefully Dr. Day was able to address my day to day.
Yes. Thank you, Michael. So if there are any questions for Michael, please you can raise your virtual hand and let us know.
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, go ahead,
Please.
George.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Michael, for sharing your experience and your day-to-day. You mentioned earlier during your presentation about the scanning using Qualys, and you said that you guys you scan that you make your scanning during the weekend. So my question is this: now, is the scanning using Qualys, is that automated, or you guys work the weekend?
No, it's automated. Yeah, it's automated. So it's automated. It's every weekend it scans, right? Like they've set it up. So that's the cyber operation guys. So they've set it up, and then every weekend is just scans. And because on the weekends we don't have that much going on, right? And we don't want any disruptions to the business. So we set it up for it to scan during the weekends, and then every Tuesday we get on a call and then we review the reports together.
All right.
Okay,
Emmanuel,
thank
please
you.
go ahead.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you,
you
George,
very
for your
much,
question.
Dr. Yeah. Mike, thank you very much for the detailed presentation. Please, I have two questions. One, please, with this GRC tool, like the OnSpeak you talk about, that was in the job description, when you were submitting your application, did you include it in your resume, or you actually had a knowledge of it before? That's number one. Number two, seeing that it appears your 8 is occupied, having a meeting and doing other things. With this kind of busy schedule, it will be difficult for you to add another job to this particular job, though you work remote. So how easy will it be like, or how do you go around it? Thank you.
Okay, okay, let me answer the second question first, right? Yeah, so like today was just I just picked today because today was like my busiest day, right? And generally some of the meetings were actually moved from like doing other days during the week to today, but like generally I'm not this busy, right? It's not this like I don't have this amount of meetings for most days. But then once in a while you have a day where like this crazy, but like I would say maybe 3 or 4 out of the 5 weeks, maybe the most meetings I have to attend is about two or three meetings, right? That's the most that I have to attend. But today is just like one of those days where, sometimes everything is going, a little crazy, and then you just have the meetings piling up on top of each other. So definitely, you can, yes, like I'm talking from experience. You can work 2 jobs, right? So, I don't want to say too much, but yes, it's like with what I'm doing, yes, it's doable. You definitely can work 2 jobs. Yes. Yeah. And
Thank
what,
you.
what was the other question?
Yeah, concerning the GRC2.
Oh, yes, yes. So no, so I didn't like put it on the resume. I didn't even talk about it. Like it didn't even come up during the interview, right? So then that's why I always try to explain to people like don't really focus too much about the tools. Like they really don't care. I mean, yeah, that's fine. If you come in and you know how to use a GRC tool, hey, more power to you. But like jobs really don't care if you can use the tool or not, right? Because once you come in, and that's one thing about these tools. Like so, like with OnSpring, once I joined we actually did have like so like these tools once you purchase them it comes with some administrative hours so like it comes with hours where they're actually going to have somebody from OnSpring walk you through how the tool works, right? So actually it gives you some of the basics and then you can always reach out to OnSpring. Like sometimes I'm working on something I don't, I have issues with it, right? Then I'll reach out to OnSpring, schedule some time, and then they can walk me through. I mean, the company pays for all that, right? Like that's included in the amount of money we are paying. And those tools are pretty expensive. So, definitely they come with those, those little perks. So don't be too worried about the tools, right? Just, make sure you understand your basis and fundamentals, right? So, and once you get on the job, definitely they are going to make sure they provide you all the resources to be able to manage those tools. Because last thing a hiring manager wants is for you to fail. Because if you fail, the hiring manager fails as well, right? So he's going to do everything he can to put you in a condition, right, for you to be able to learn how to manage whatever GRC to the company has. So don't worry too much about it too, right? Yeah, don't let that be your focus.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right. I think we have our last question. Olan, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much. I have 2 questions. One, how heavy do you use Excel as a tool? That's number one. Then number two, as a POC to the external auditor, do you yourself conduct internal audit, perhaps using ISO 27001 and other NIST and all that? Those are my 2 questions.
Mike, you are muted if you are trying to speak.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah. Okay. Not sure how I muted myself, but okay, yeah. So for the internal audits, yes. So we do conduct internal audits, and we do it based on this 853, right? And as I was saying, right, so most of these frameworks, there's a crossover, right? So like access control, an IT control for access control, identity and access management. So whatever evidence you have, you can always use it for, other frameworks as well, because more or less, they are always, even though they have different names, right? These frameworks have different names, they are all trying to reach the same goal. But we do conduct internal audits based on NIST 853 IT controls. And yes, what was the other question? I think you asked 2 questions.
How heavy do you use Excel as a
Oh
tool?
yeah, Excel. Yes, yeah. So Excel, man, like without Excel, you're not going to be able to survive in this field, right? So example, like we use Excel, so like the secure control framework, right, which I advise everybody to look into, right? So that's on Excel as well, right? So basically, we use that. We map most of our policies to the IT controls, right? To NIST as well as ISO 27001. Also, number two, like I can think about like for vendor third-party risk management, right? So vendors constantly will send you, like not every vendor has their questionnaire on a portal, right? So like I'm constantly filling out questionnaires on a spreadsheet, right? On the Excel, on an Excel spreadsheet. But for our company, in terms of Excel, we don't use Excel a lot, right? Because we actually have like we have a good GRC tool that does most of the work, but not every company has just like it's very expensive, right? I know people actually within the Eretmis family who have to like even actually basically use GRC to manage their audits, right? But we use I mean Excel to manage their audits, but we actually use our GRC too. So like Excel, I don't use a lot of Excel, right? But I actually know how to use it and I learned how to use it, and then transitioning from using Excel to the GRC tool, it's going to be easier because guess what? If you learn how to use just a GRC tool and you don't have your basics and your fundamental in Excel, at some point you're gonna get exposed, right? Because it's gonna come a time where you have to use Excel. So Excel, I use it fairly, but not that much compared to maybe other people in the industry.
Thank you, Olan. There's a question from Ben in the chat. So Ben is asking, Ben is saying, thanks for the detailed insights, Mr. Michael. Your passion is so evident, the way you talk about what you do. And he's asking, how long have you been on the job and what's the phishing simulation tool you mentioned?
Yeah, Ben, thank you. Yeah, so I've been on the job for 2 years. Yes. So yeah, so September was 2 years. So September, oh yeah, so 2 years and 1 month. So yeah, so let's say a little over, yeah, I mean 2 years, one month. So yeah, 2 years. And the phishing tool, so yeah, so I use Proofpoint for one, and I use Microsoft phishing tool for the other.
So Michael, if you can put the tools in the chat for us, that would be
Okay.
much appreciated. Thank you. So thank you very much, Michael. We are going to move to Isaac. And before we do, for folks who are looking to join the cybersecurity ranks, doing your remote job like Michael, making six figures and more, our cybersecurity entry-level course is the course that is going to get you there, right? Comes with the training, the internship. You don't need to have a prior cybersecurity background or IT background, no IT degree or cybersecurity degree needed. You're not going to be doing coding, so no coding background is also needed. All you need is high school, and you have to be computer literate. Those are the basics that you need to be able to start off here. And it comes with one-on-one mentorship, one-on-one assistance, all the way through to when you start looking for a job, just like how we did with Michael, Isaac, and everybody else, Bettina, and everybody in the Eretmis family. So kindly look into our cybersecurity entry-level program. And if you know anybody who is interested in becoming a cybersecurity professional, also jump into this. For us, in this program, what we will tell you is that it is not easy, but it's doable, right? We're not going to say there's a magic wand that we're just going to, use to get you by closing your eyes, you're going to be a cybersecurity professional like other people are promising. What we promise you is hard work, and it is going to pay off, just like how what Michael, Bettina, and everybody went through, because that is what is going to make you who you are as a cybersecurity professional without taking shortcuts, right? So we make sure we give you all the tools that you need to be able to function anywhere you find yourself as a security professional. And for folks already in the cybersecurity industry, like Michael and others, even if you have IT background, you can jump into our payment security compliance program, which is also one of the big niches within the cybersecurity space that will make you multiple six figures, and then also remote jobs that you're looking for. So this is a specialized area that is going to make you a boss within bosses within your organization. So jump into our PCI program if you want to specialize in an area of cybersecurity. And then also for our internship, for folks who have started the journey already, you've gone through some training, but you've not really worked on any projects. If you are given the job today, would you be able to do it? Right? You can talk your way through interviews and get a job, but you don't want to be a living heart attack, what I call a living heart attack. You have the job, but you are dreading going to work because you don't know what you are going to be doing. and you don't know what is going to come at you. Like Bettina was talking about, they will come to you with anything and everything if you are the cybersecurity professional. So you have to make sure you are prepared. You've done enough projects to be able to understand all the conversations that are going on and to be able to point people in the right direction if you find yourself in a managerial role, right? So join our internship workshop program. The next cohort is starting on the 23rd. And with that, we are going to invite Isaac to join us. So for Isaac, we're going to share his job description also as well. And then we will go through what Isaac has done so far. So kindly hold one. So Isaac, if you're ready, we are going to kick off here. So this is Isaac's job description, right? So for Isaac, I think he interviewed for this, but they gave him a different role. And that role is a bit similar to this. So this was what we were able to get. So this is Security Operations Analyst 2. And for this role, qualifications, we're not going to go through the qualifications too much. But we are going to jump into the responsibilities. So for the responsibilities, vision. Okay, so our vision, I will try. There's a lot of these. We'll probably pick 5. That way we don't go too way overboard. So this is a SOC analyst role. We'll pick maybe the first, second 2, and then we'll jump into where they have some of the SOC details in there. So the first one we'll look at as a security operations analyst. You will be the key member of the information security. Yes, I mean, obviously, this is
Exactly.
an obvious one. So this position is critical for. Okay, so these are all just intro telling you what the position will be about. Let's look at what some of the things you're actually going to be doing. So acting as a dedicated team member and escalating resources within the CFN security operations. Okay, so this is a good one. Alert triage. So if there's any alerts, how are you going to do triaging for the alerts? I think this is a good one that Isaac can talk about. Incident response and detection. This is kind of everything you are doing as a SOC analyst, together with chasing alerts and making sure you're escalating it to the proper channels. Continuous improvement, security automation, that is your baby as well. Strategic advisory. So you are going to be a trusted advisor for your internal team and then also for your management documentation and reporting. So because of time, we are not going to go into the details of it. So Isaac, you've been doing this for a while. If you will do us the honors of taking us through the items on here and what you do out of this, or if you do, or just briefly touch on some of the key ones, and then we will let you walk us through your day. So kindly go ahead.
Sure. Hello, everyone, from wherever you're joining from. How are you doing? My name is Isaac. I've been with the Eretmis family for, I think it's coming to 3 years. And that's one decision in my life that I don't regret. I honestly remember the street name that I was standing on when I made the call to Dr. Adu and what we talked about. That was the moment, like I saw the light. Anyway, as other members have mentioned, we joined Eretmis Academy. We've undertaken the different courses that they have to offer. The foundation, which is the entry level, and then a couple of us have branched off in different fields under the cybersecurity realm. We had the GRC person Michael mentioned what he does. We have different people in PCI DSS, and I branched off in sorry about that. I branched off in the security operations for a purpose. That's one thing that I really loved. I love solving puzzles and basically tinkering with things. So about these responsibilities that we're looking at listed over here, If I'll start with the alert triage, and that is actually like the basic, the 101, what the security operations analyst does. So what does this entail? So when alerts come through on what we call the SOC dashboard, we have different alerts come through. We have alerts and then some incidents. So you triage them. How you triage them is like how you go to the ER. Someone presents with a headache, another one presents with a broken arm, another one presents with a bleeding wound. Who do you take care of first? In the order of criticality. So that's actually what we do in the security operations. If something has come through as a phishing alert, I've forgotten my password. Another person reports there is a remote NRMM tool, like a remote desktop control tool installed on my machine, and I see my mouse moving without my input. So who do you get to deal with first? So in this case, it would be the person who has a suspect who operating on their machine and they have no idea about it. For the person who has forgotten their password, you can put them on the back burner and deal with them later on. It's not as critical. It's not a priority event in that incident. So basically, that's what a large triage is. You need to have that mentality of actually discerning what is priority one, what is priority two, what can wait until later. Incident detection and response, that kind of like ties into a large triage. After you've triaged the alert, how do you respond to it? Is it an incident? Have you detected an incident, and how do you actually deal with that? I've actually spoken about that. Let me continue down. Continuous improvement. So driving the refinement of SOC standard operating procedures, analytic rules, playbooks, commonly consumed SOC resources. So in this case, there is a lot of cross-team functionality. And what I'm talking about is, for example, we collaborate closely with the SIEM/SOAR team. That is the engineers that are in charge of the security information and event management platform, as well as the security automation, security orchestration and automation response team. And how the SOC operations works closely with these detection engineers. They basically help us with the writing rules, and we tell them what rules we need to be written, what rules and alerts we need to be automated, and then basically they help us to write that particular automation rule. For example, if you have an alert that keeps coming through on the dashboard, and you've worked on it before previously, like maybe 20 of the same alerts prior, and they all turn out to be false positive. For example, if it's an internet facing Exchange server, those ones are susceptible to being tested by script kiddies most of the time, because they have port 80 open, port 443 open, and they're internet facing basically. So you can definitely rule that one out as a false positive, and you can have the SIEM/SOAR engineers write a rule for you to automatically triage that particular rule, that particular alert, depending on what actually it presents. And then that actually gives you more time, gives you back time as an analyst to work on and focus on other serious incidents, rather than focusing on this one that is going to turn out to be a false positive after spending so much of your working hours trying to triage it and investigate that. What's the next one? Just give me a sec. I'm reading through, just trying to see. the most important ones to talk about. Security automation, I've talked about that one. Strategic advisory, acting as a trusted advisor to internal teams, offering guidance and security requirements to ensure secure project execution and regulatory compliance. So in this aspect, what I can talk about this one, acting as a trusted advisor to internal teams. As I mentioned, there is a lot of cross-team collaboration. Other teams, for example, the help desk will definitely reach out to the security team if they encounter an issue that is security kind of like security based. Different advisors, different clients will call into the help desk hoping to have their issues solved, but the help desk has to reach out to us if there is a security aspect involved in whatever the advisor is actually talking about. So we act as the trusted, basically the subject matter experts on everything security within the organization, and that goes for any other team. Legal sometimes reaches out to us, compliance, and so I work for a financial company. So there are so many teams involved. Even the business analysts and the audit teams, they all reach out to us and basically consult with us in anything that is security related. About the part of execution and regulatory compliance, that doesn't really fall on us. I don't know why they listed it under the responsibilities. That one actually falls under the purview of the GRC team. So we have the GRC department that deals with all the regulatory and compliance, what software is actually, which software is kind of like sanctioned that we can actually operate within the environment. Is it in compliance? These advisors actually in compliance with the different laws that we have to follow. FINRA, the ISO 27000, that falls under the GRC team, honestly. Documentation and reporting, I think that goes without saying. Every department has to have some form of documentation and reporting, and this is where Excel comes in. This is where Power BI comes in, and other tools that you actually can use to come up with the documentation and reporting. The good thing is most of these security tools that we use, the SIM tools, the threat intel platforms, the CTI tools, that is a cyber threat intel, they all have the aspect of report generation, depending on how frequent you need the reports generated for your use case. It can be weekly, it can be bi-weekly, it can be daily, or it can be every fortnight. But that's a good thing. It definitely helps us with the documentation. We don't have to think so much about what kind of metrics should I present to the higher ups, depending on your audience, the audience of your particular documentation and reporting. It could be your immediate manager, the director, or sometimes it's the departmental heads that they need to see how many false positives are coming in. Maybe they're trying to justify the payments that they're making to a particular vendor. So they want to see how many false positives are coming through, how many true positives are actually coming through, how often, and how good is this particular tool actually taking care of them, in the sense that you presented it in your SOPs that this tool has the intelligence to actually understand that this particular alert is a false positive, and it takes care of it without it even reporting on the dashboard, on the SOC dashboard. Is it actually doing that? All that information comes out in the reporting and the metrics that you have to present to the different audiences that actually need this kind of like information. Let me go back up a little bit. I think I saw something that I can talk to. The role ISO who help to engineer analytical capabilities, enhance security, automation, and facilitate. Oh, I talked about that already. with the SIM sword detection team. Is there anything, doctor, that you can see that I need to talk to? The rest are kind of like repetitions of what is actually talked about below. Because when you
Yes, I
look at
think
that, the
you
role itself will hope.
you touched on all of it. Documentation and reporting, also lessons learned. Did you touch on lessons learned and also metrics for continuous improvement? Also, if you want
Yes.
to take a look at that also as well.
Yeah, I think I mentioned about the metrics for continuous improvement. For example, you can try to assess the different security platforms that you're using, the different tools, to see are they actually doing what they are meant to be doing. Because when you conduct a POC with these different vendors, they will tell you this tool can do 100% of this, it can do 100% of this. But when you put the tool out in the wild, that's a different case. So you basically kind of like try to align what you were told, what you were sold in the POC stage against what is actually happening. Is this tool, does it have the goods, or was it all just selling you smoke? So that is some of the things that we can look at in metrics for continuous improvement. How can you better this tool? Do you have to talk with the engineering team on the vendor side for this particular tool, and you tell them exactly what you want added in this particular tool? If you want it to be if you want this particular tool to scan the network every weekend, and for them the default setting out of the box, maybe it scans every 2 weeks, then that's something that they can definitely change and improve upon the usage of this particular tool and how it actually benefits you. Lessons learned. Okay, incident analysis findings, lessons learned. Yeah, depending on what incidents or alerts that you get to actually work on. Mostly lessons learned, we get those from actual incidents, alerts that actually materialize to be incidents. Now, this is where we all, come together, full hands on deck, and actually walk through the incident response cycle. Who has to take care of what, when, what departments are actually can be involved, have to be involved in this particular incident, depending on what the incident is. For example, if the incident is involving exposure of a user's personal information, identifiable information, PHI or PII, as you may call it, then maybe it involves the aspect of an online scam where someone was scammed into actually sending money to a scammer, not knowing that they're actually dealing with a scammer, and they sent this money to this person along with their maybe, let's say, banking information or their address and social. So now you can see that you have the aspect of different teams involved in this. You have the fraud team, because this was a scam. You have the legal and compliance, because someone's personal information is out there, it was exposed. So you can actually get the aspect of lessons learned from different incidents that have happened in the past. How did we deal with this incident, and what lessons did we learn from that particular incident going forward, should it happen in the future? And that actually helps us to write our playbooks for future analysts or junior analysts, just in case they have to deal with the same thing in the future.
Okay, thank you, Isaac. So, I mean, we've gone through some of the things that you do. If you can walk us through a Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, one day, just for like you wake up, if you are doing remote, what time do you get to your laptop, and what do you do? If you are in person, also, if you get to the office, if you can walk us through your day.
Okay, so currently I'm hybrid. I'll be going fully remote next year. I'm hybrid. I get into office 2 days in a week. Those days being Monday and Friday for obvious reasons. Monday Monday starts with the infosec departmental meeting, and that happens every Monday at 1 p.m. So the way our manager actually said it, the director of infosec is the one who said it that way. Deal with anything that has come through over the weekend, and then by Monday, by 1 p.m., you kind of like know the trajectory that your day and your week is taking. So Monday, 1 p.m. is the infosec meeting. And then I'll pick a Tuesday a Friday. Every day at midday, we have a SOC huddle. So this SOC huddle, this involves the junior analysts, the level 2 analysts as well on the team, our manager, the SIMSOAR team, and the CTI team, the cyber threat intelligence team. And the purpose of this is actually to kind of like pool our energy and our heads together and come up with the different solutions to the alerts or incidents that we are seeing. If there is an alert that we require for it to be fine-tuned, for it to be automated, that's where we leverage the strength of the SIMSOAR team to help us actually automate a particular alert that we have to do, that we request for them to automate and fine-tune. If there is any new threat that is out there in the world that we need to know about, that's when the CTI team tells us about this particular threat, which is maybe targeting the financial industry. So that happens every day at midday. Day to day basis, honestly, is like monitoring the SOC dashboard, looking at the alerts as they come through, incidents, triaging them, working with the different teams, jumping onto meetings as and when they come through. Most times you have to make calls out to the different financial advisors. These are our members actually that we serve, that are maybe having account lockouts, that have lost their laptops. Then you need to sort of like isolate it from the network. You need to preserve their computer, or maybe some of them have the issue of, let's say, a remote desktop software installed on their machine. Maybe they clicked a phishing link, a fake Microsoft or update, and the scammer actually downloads maybe, let's say, AnyDesk or ScreenMate on their machine without their knowledge. We go in there, we remote into the machine using another security tool called Kaseya, and we get to actually delete and remove, uninstall the particular potentially unwanted software from the machine. We're all doing this all remotely without the advisor's interaction with the machine. And these are the different things that we actually do on a daily basis. Every day in the SOC is different, and that's what I really like about it. It's very unique and very dynamic. You don't know what to expect when you log in. But my usual day goes from 9 to about 3, mostly. Sometimes you find yourself staying on until 5 p.m. or sometimes even 7 p.m. depending on what you have to actually deal with. Yes, in a nutshell, that is it. I'm sorry, I've rumbled on for so much.
All right, thanks. Any questions from the group for Isaac? So as you can see, SOC is also a handful. So any questions in the charts? Alex, please go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to ask you a question for whoever does the GI. Forgot his name.
Michael.
Hi, Michael. This question is for you. While you're doing a GRC analyst, is this position stressful?
Yeah, not at all, not at all. I mean, so yeah, it depends, right? But for the most part, I would say no. But you have days where there are some up and downs, right? Like something happens and then you have to drop or whatever you have, whatever project you're working on, and then you have to focus on that. But I would say, yeah, 80% of the time, like it's not stressful at all. Yeah, not at all.
Okay, thank you so much for responding.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Jason, please go ahead.
All right, guys. Thank you very much for taking the time out to give us the insight. So, on a basis of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, for all of you, all three of you, Bettina, Michael, and Isaac, how relevant, first in terms of relevance, was the PCI training course along with the internship beneficial to you in terms of what you're doing now in terms of relevance? And if you were reviewing, sorry, and or when you were reviewing, what were the aspects that Dr. Adu had you go over in terms of recap? Because Dr. Adu stresses that even though you're going to finish with the course, you must constantly review. How important was that information along with the question I asked before? Sorry if that was a bit long.
Okay, I think I'll be the first person to speak on this since I was the first person to talk about this. So for starters, I haven't done PCI-DSS now. I did the GRC internship. I started with the entry level. And let me just put this out there. I met Dr. Edu this year. I met him in February. I started the entry level course in February, end of February. I joined the internship, the March internship this year. And 3 months, I think it was for 3 months. Yes, we did it. And then I got my job right after that. So ever since I started, I've always had to come back to my internship presentations, our YouTube presentations, the entry level notes. I always revert back to read over to understand certain things more anytime I'm faced with any issues at work. So like I said, when I started, I was just baptized by fire. I immediately was like, I didn't have any training when I entered into the job, basically, because you are there as an expert. So nobody had time to actually give me any knowledge transfer here or there. So if I was just given the seat of my predecessor, I was given I was given access to all the things that he's done, and then I was asked to continue from there. So imagine if I had no experience thinking that I was going to be trained on this job. I did not get any training whatsoever. The only training that I have done ever since I started this work is a tool that the SOC team is using that I wanted to understand it because I'm managing them. And then they had to train me on that for me to understand what they were doing. So when I entered into this job, I was basically continuing from where my predecessor ended from. And the internship really helped me in the sense that it opened my eyes to now look out for what has to be done. And then immediately I knew that for every cybersecurity role, for you to be able to be a good cybersecurity analyst or a manager, you need to first start from governance. So the first thing I did was to first go to their policies and procedures to see what they are doing, how things are being done. I went over them, and then that is where I started from. So in doing so, I had to revert back to my internship to go back to see how we drafted our policies, how to even review the policies. I did that in the internship. So it really helped me on how to start. I did my initial assessment, and in doing this is like a risk assessment, basically. And then I'm still doing it because the airport is a huge place and there are so many things that has to be done. So for me to be able to know how to even do the initial assessment of a huge airport, it was the internship that really helped me. So I'm always going back to my notes. I'm always going back to Dr. Du for advice. And most of the time, Dr. Du is here and he can tell you that ever since I started this job, I've actually contacted him, I think, twice or so. And the first time was the first day that I started, and I was just telling him what I'm going to do, and he said I was on the right path. So now, to be honest with you, I haven't actually had an issue where I will call him to tell him that this is what is happening to me at work. I don't know what to do. Anytime I'm coming to him, I'm just coming to him to let him know that, hey, this is what I'm doing. Am I on the right path? And yes, every time I go to him, he says the same thing to me. So it actually gave me the foundation basically to build upon everything or any situation that I find myself in, and not to be like, hey, I'm scared on whatever it's on something that is going to happen at work, and I'm not going to get an answer, or I'm not going to understand what to do or how to go about the things. I'm not scared because I have a very good foundation. So when anything comes up, even if I am not aware of it or I don't know how to go about it, because I have a good foundation, I know how to research on it and I know how to go about everything. I don't know if this really helps you.
Okay, so I'll go next. Yeah, so I
Thank
mean,
you
I
so
think,
much.
yeah, okay, yeah, so I think more or less, yeah, Bettina, has said it all. So for me, just like her, I didn't, like, I'm currently in the PCI course right now, but I actually didn't do PCI before, getting my job. So I did the entry level course. So the entry level course, and then I joined the internship. And for my job, for the interview, like all I did was just walk my manager through like all the internship assignments, right, from week 1 to week 10. So from auditing, third-party risk management, risk register, right, incident response. So I just walked him through the process, and then like just Dr. Du says, right, key is the soft skills, right? So we did the technical part, right, which was going through the assignments, and then we got to the soft skills, which I think he really, liked. So yeah, so basically, you really don't need a PCI. That's not what I did, right? Unless you want to specifically get into PCI. But if you want to, like, you are coming from no IT background and you just want to join cybersecurity, like my advice to people is always get through the entry level course, right? So you get through the entry level course, you build yourself up from no IT background, so you get your fundamentals, you build up and sharpen your skill sets, and then once you've mastered the GRC, then you can easily move into PCI. So which is what I did, and that's what landed me the job. So basically, key for me was the internship, and then the stress from Dr. Du about focusing a lot on the soft skills. So I think that's it for me.
And
Thank you.
yeah, I'll go last. So for me, I did not do the PCI DSS course prior to getting this job. What I had done was the entry level course, and that content that Dr. Adu actually provided, basically the content in the course was pretty laid out well. And in my earlier days of starting out in this role as a SOC analyst, I would often find myself going back to kind of like review and revisit the information that is actually embedded in the course material. And to speak to the internship program definitely was a huge plus because it actually exposed me to the different frameworks. I remember actually in my particular cohort, I had to present the CIS controls during the internship program, and we were exposed to other different frameworks, NIST, the ISO, MITRE, and these are things that I've actually come to use and dwell on in my role as a SOC analyst. Because you need to definitely know about the MITRE attack framework, the CIS controls, and NIST as a basic, honestly. And yes, so I'll definitely say I benefited a lot from the entry level and the internship program.
All right. Thank you, Isaac, Bettina, and Michael. Hopefully that answers your question, Jason. And if there are any more questions, you can kindly bring it up before we wrap up for this evening. And I appreciate everybody's time. I think there's a question. There are some questions. Could you please have your WhatsApp? Okay. So the WhatsApp was put in there. So kindly check the chats. I think the link for the WhatsApp is probably in there in the list of links in there. Kindly go ahead with your question. I think it's Hussein, if I got your name right. Kindly go. Okay. Kindly go ahead, please.
I hope everyone's having their good time and everything. So my question is that it goes to the Bettina and Isaac and Michael. So my question is, like the person who's interested in cybersecurity when they're applying for jobs and everything, for those qualifications I've seen recently, most of those qualifications are they like strict on the qualifications? Because most of them say you need to require like a certain amount of experience, like 5+ years and stuff. And on top of it, they usually say, oh, you have to have a computer science bachelor's or like master's and everything. So for me, for example, pursuing another bachelor's degree, which is way outside from IT related degree. So I would like to know if there's a point whereby it makes you like not be able like to pursue to the next level. So thank you. That's my question.
Okay. I think I'll start again. So for starters, I had no IT background when I started, when I met Dr. Edu this year. I mean, I'm coming from a legal background. I'm a lawyer, and making the switch, I was a little bit worried and scared, and I thought I couldn't do it until I joined Eretmis. So you are speaking to somebody that did not even know how to use Excel. I mean, I used to teach and I used to, be a legal practitioner. The only thing that I knew about computer and stuff like that were just the PowerPoints that I would use to teach my students, or how to draft, to type, and all those things. But I had no IT background. So after I did the entry level course and I joined the internship, I gained my confidence and understanding from there. And I would always say that during the time, when it gets to the time that you're doing your resumes and trying to apply for a job, so you have Dr. Edu there to help you sort you out with the years and everything. I mean, if you've worked in the past before, you are not going to say that you haven't done this before, whatever, because throughout the internship and the studies that you are going through, all those things are the times, because doing an internship is like actually doing the job itself, because the internship, you are actually working with companies and you are doing the job for them. So that though you are not going to get paid on the internship that you're doing, you are working with real companies, and then you are basically working. So that is going to go on your resume as what you have done, and that is what you're going to speak to when you go into the interview. So don't be scared when you see the number of years that is always stated in the job description and the training and the certifications that you're asking for. Sometimes most of them do sometimes I didn't say they do cut and paste, because they are just looking for certain things. They feel like this position, that the person coming for this position must have this number of years on the job and all that. But trust me, if you have a very good foundation, if you know what you're about, and you go for this interview and they see that you can do the job description that is lying in front of them that you saw, that you even applied to, they are not even going to avert their minds to it. All they know is that they're looking for somebody who can do the role and can do the job very well. So if you have a very good foundation and you know what you're talking about and you can speak to what they want, you will get the job.
Yeah, okay. For me, yeah, it's always hard to speak after a lawyer speaks, but I can add more to what Bettina said. So yeah, so for me as well, no, yeah, no IT background, like no degree in IT. I come from the healthcare sector, so yeah, that's all I'm gonna add. But for the rest, Bettina said it all. So yeah.
Okay. I concur with you, Michael. You know, you always you find it hard to speak after a legal person speaks. Like, I don't want to get
Guys,
caught
don't
in.
do this. Don't do this to me.
Okay. I just like the other, like Bettina and Michael mentioned, I also didn't have a background in IT. The only IT knowledge that I had was all self-taught. I went to school for business administration. I majored in marketing, but I was working in a health sector as well. And then I pivoted and ended up in cybersecurity because it's a passion that I've always wanted to do. So I didn't have an IT background. And for the concern that you mentioned, seeing a job description with the requirement computer science, maybe a degree in computer science and all that, that actually should not disappoint you. It should not deter you. Don't feel disqualified. Go for it, because any degree is just any degree, honestly. I mean, so many jobs that I've done and I've applied for and actually gotten to do have had computer science as number one, requirement, have had 3 to 5 years of experience, but I've gotten in. So always reach out to Dr. Adu anytime you see a job description that you have questions about, and he will definitely allay your fears and help you, guide your hand, hold your hand and guide you through the entire process of applying and preparing for the interview. He did that for me. I believe he did it for for other people on this call, and it's a good thing. It's a good thing. Yep.
Thank
That's
you,
my spiel.
Isaac. Kingsley, please go ahead.
Oh yeah, I think I'm okay with it because yeah, he answered my question. So
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you. All right, everyone. We are wrapping up. Thank you, Bettina. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Isaac. You are always a good resource for us to tap into. And for everybody on here, I encourage you. It is very doable. You have to do the work. It is very doable, and we are going to help guide you through the whole entire process till you are also going to come back here to share the knowledge with other aspiring cybersecurity professionals or even professionals working on the job. Even if you are also in a role currently, you can always learn from what your other colleagues are doing. So checking the chat, there are no questions in here. Some shout outs from Nicole joining us from Atlanta, Eliku joining us from Illinois, Benedict joining us from Massachusetts, and Binto joining us from Atlanta. We have AC joining us from Ohio, and let's go. Oh, Texas, Thomas, Texas, and George joining us from Ghana. It's almost like midnight in Ghana. Thank you, George. And then we have some team lives in there as well. Houston in the house, Jacqueline joining us from Houston, and then some team lives in there. And I think that is about it. We are wrapping up. I appreciate everybody's time. So we put the link. Oh, Ben from Deluxe, joining us from Dallas,
Japan.
Texas. Oh, Jason from Japan. Yes, I almost missed those ones. Emmanuel from New Jersey and George from Illinois, and then Kent, Atlanta. Appreciate you as well. And the links for you to make an appointment to talk to us, to take any of our free courses. And we have 2 free courses on our website, Eretmis Academy. Do well to hop onto our cybersecurity for beginners if you are starting out from scratch. Even if you've done some training elsewhere, if you don't find any new information in that course, I'll give you $100, right? And we have Mamuz joining us from South Carolina. We appreciate everybody's time. The WhatsApp link. The WhatsApp link is not in here. Okay, so kindly shoot an email to David at Eretmis. He'll send you the WhatsApp link. If anybody has the WhatsApp link, they can post it in the chat for AC to join the WhatsApp. But we are about to wrap up. Appreciate everybody's time. Thank you for your time, and we are going to meet next week, same time, for another edition of Cyber Chat. And like I always say, it's Friday night, but you chose to be here, and I know you've gotten something for your toolbox this night as well, and be a continuous learner in the security space. I'm always learning from everybody else on here as well. So next week we are still going to meet for another exciting edition of Cyber Chat. The WhatsApp is in there in the chat. So if you want to join the WhatsApp group, kindly look in the chat. Even when we wrap up, you are still going to find it in the chat. So have a great evening, everyone. Stay safe. And we'll meet next week for another edition of Cyber Chat.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night,
Thank
everyone.
you, Dr. Igor. Bye.